Alright folks, my name is Freyn and welcome to the Brummbär. I think I got the pronunciation right for that. I'm sure someone will tell me if I haven't. Now, Google Translate tells me that that means sore head. And while I'm sure you will have a sore head if you get hit by this thing, Wikipedia on the other hand is saying that the nickname means grouch, and I think that's much more fitting, and certainly if I remember to do so I will be referring to it thusly. But that's enough of that. For this first game I am on Corellia. It is 5.7 and it's taken me about 2 minutes, but I have finally made it to the A point. I've gone the long way around to avoid getting shot in the side as I leave spawn. Now, they already have the point here, and so I'm expecting some company. Sure enough, there's a jumbo there that's just taking out the T-34-85. Now, he swiveled just as I fired, which actually should have made him easier to kill. He was showing me, an angle on his lower side armor, but I shot just, a couple of pixels too high there and ended up hitting the upper side armor instead and only getting his track. So, again, tried to go for it there, but couldn't quite see the target through the bushes. But I've got his barrel, so I know for the moment he's not a threat. He can't repair it, obviously, without allowing me another shot. So he stops for repairs. Now, that's the shot I initially wanted, into the side and completely obliterate his tank. Now, I potentially could have pressed him while he was on his track repair the first time, but I have died to smaller guns than the jumbos. I was a bit reluctant to have it happen again. There are a few weak points on the front, most notably the driver's hatch. I've been penned through that by, I believe, a T-34 1940 at a rather extreme distance before now, because he went straight through the slit. I'm reluctant to have that happening again. So at this stage of the game, we have control of the A point. It's not captured, but it's under sort of, it's locked down for us. But I can see we're still struggling out in the west. We haven't really managed to make any progress. So I'm taking the decision to throw a few shells down here. I figured someone else would cap the A point, someone with a turret a bit less vulnerable than me. There's a jumbo down there. I've detracked him, I've taken out his barrel, so we'll use the rangefinder and plant that shell right where it's needed, into his lower side. Now, I don't really use rangefinders very often. It's only on extremely low velocity tanks like this where there's a high chance of missing. Now, I should have repeated it here, but I was thinking he's not really much further away than the jumbo. I was using the rough range and adding 10-20 meters. Yeah, I underestimated that one and completely missed, and that's now made the M4A1 sort of panic and drive towards me, so I can't get a shot on him anymore. But there's two more opponents in the distance, so again we'll measure it up. 450, take the shot and launch that 150mm round right through the side of the M4A1. This tank only gets HE or heat, and while I know that high caliber heat is working very well at the moment, I've not had great success with it on this tank. I shot a jumbo in the upper plate with it and came away with simply killing the machine gunner. It really wasn't a huge success. The HE has been far more reliable for me. There are a few targets that the HE does not quite work on though. Russian heavies being the main one I've found. So, still no idea where this M4A1 has gone. I can't see where that second Sherman that I saw on the far side is. I'm a bit blind at the moment, but my teammates have started to come over to A, which is at least meaning I know I should be safe from my left. I'm going to roll over here and see if I can see that M4A1. I'm expecting him to be climbing the hill. There's no sign of him yet, so I'll back off, and then in comes this little M6A1. So drop the shell down into his turret roof. That's one that I've had varying success with. There was one of the previous games during this little session. I actually hit one in the front and also in the side of his turret and managed to do nothing with either round, so I went for the roof this time, and due to the low velocity I could arc it over. I don't think there was much of my tank he had a shot on. The 76 is a good gun, but it shouldn't get through the upper plate of this. Definitely not from a lower ground like that. As long as my lower plate and my driver's hatch are hidden, I should be mostly impenetrable to him. Still no sign of this M4A1, however. I'm getting a bit concerned as to where he might have gone. But never mind, we've got another target in the distance. I still know the rough range from the previous shot over there. So again, plant that one, this time onto his upper plate. Some of the later Sherman variants it wouldn't make it through, but on the M4A1 chassis, the HE round has enough penetration. This only gets 2 rounds, it's HE and heat. High caliber heat is apparently working quite well at the moment, but I've not had great success with it on this vehicle. Tried shooting a Sherman Jumbo right through the upper plate and came away with just the machine gunner dead, so I've put that aside and given up on that. I'm only carrying a few in case I meet one of those larger Russian heavies. For now, it's all about the HE. But I've picked up 5 kills now, and it's been mostly played in that sort of Howitzer role this game. It does also function quite well as an assault tank, but it's a bit more vulnerable, especially in sort of an urban environment, because your lower plate is visible, and that's quite a weak spot. But last kill here for this game. Sherman rolling out their spawn, so I took a complete guess for the range, struck his side, and knocked out pretty much the entire contents through the other side of his tank. But we'll move on now to second clip. This time a bit more of an assault TD. It's onto abandoned factory and driving off towards the A point. There's already something there. Figured it must be an M18 with that speed. There he is. Not something you really need to aim for with that. As long as you hit, or even just hit nearby, the M18 should go. That's a Chi-Ri 2 there, it's just taking out my squad mate. I can see him peeking around the corner, but obviously I'm still on reload. And as previously mentioned, there are a couple of weak spots on the front, so gotta be cautious with this one. He's got a quite high pen gun, so the last thing I want to do is show those to him. First shot, transmission track, and although it didn't list it, it also showed knocking out his barrel, so he's no threat for now. Can sit, aim up, accidentally turn on sight distance control that I didn't need, and second shot, a little higher this time. There we go, that's the rest of his crew out. There's a Churchill driving up. Still on the reload. They're tough nuts to crack for the Brummbär. It can kill them, I have killed them before, but you've got to hit the right spot. You're sort of going for the turret ring with this. I was a little too high. Ended up just getting his track. See the Firefly there, which is more of a concern because he can definitely pen my lower plate. And if he gets on my side, I'm really in trouble. It's an M4A1 on the cap alongside the Churchill, and I wasn't really sure what to do here. I felt a bit trapped, so just tried to bait a shot there, managed to bounce it. I was quite lucky. He could have gone through those sort of shoulder cheeks there where it's angled away, but I think he deflected off the side a little. Now, here's my mistake really. I was trying to be smart about this. I was thinking the M4A1's pushing up a little bit, so I'll go out, I'll kill the Churchill with a proper shot this time, and then I'll turn around and face the M4A1. I didn't notice the Cheery down the tracks. But you could just say, you know, that's hindsight for you. But I didn't really need to do what I did. The M4A1 will struggle with me frontally, the Churchill will definitely struggle with me frontally. I could have pretty much just poked around the corner and shot the M4A1 knowing he was driving that way. I wouldn't have to specifically aim for any part of his tank. I can maneuver well enough to keep the Churchill on my front and hopefully not hitting my my weak points. So yeah, I should have probably played it the other way. But I got 4 kills total there, so still decent start, and I've chosen to bring out a backup for the Brummbär. Maybe not the smartest plan. You know, while it can be, you know, it can have its moments, it can be a fun vehicle, it's not the most viable. It's not really tremendously versatile. Certainly not a tank I would be expecting to carry in. It's just never going to give you reliable results. A lot of it is down to the map, and to be honest, just a huge amount of luck. So I've just about made it back now after, you know, a bit of rambling there, stalling for time. And I know there's a Sherman around the cap. There he goes. Hit him too high again, and also lost my barrel to that Chi-Ri. And we do have a Tiger around behind him, who's just taking him out there, so that gives me a bit of time to sit and repair. That Jumbo shouldn't be going anywhere. Depends on how long the repair times match up here, so I'm gonna finish up and drive back and have another look for him. I've still got to reload, which is putting things out to my favour a bit. It's unlikely he's still going to be repairing his track when I'm finished. But he is getting shot at by someone else as well, so he might just stay and try and duke it out. There he is. He's repaired, but still in the same place. Got to avoid hitting any of these beams. Again, just a smidgen too high. You've really got to be incredibly accurate to get the kills sometimes with this gun, given that you're firing HE, or given that I'm firing HE. And when you've got this low velocity, that's not always the easiest task. There we go. Lower side again. This is great against jumbos. Well, great if you can hit that lower track. Now, obviously any other gun would also kill them through that lower track. But it's the fact that they struggle to pen you back, and you only need the tiniest slither. I mean, you could probably even hit their track with it and deal some significant damage. And if you throw a shell into that upper plate, you're highly likely to take their track and the barrel as well. You can pretty much just plant yourself there and say, no, this is my road, you're not coming down here. And there's not too much they can do to, you know, change your mind. Now, and we'll skip ahead a couple of minutes here. I'm just trying to hold on to the A point, making sure we keep control of this. An M15 came in and decapped it, but he got knocked out by the Ostwind. So we're just sitting, recapping, and decided it's time to go north. Let's go for B. I've not seen anything in a while. When suddenly, through the wall in front of me comes a Comet. It's very nice of him to knock down the wall. Obviously, with only having HE and heat, they can't fire through obstacles like that. And he can, so if he... I don't know if he'd seen me before he drove through, but yeah, he certainly could have shot me through it, and there was nothing I could have done about it until he'd already fired. But it's certainly not without its faults. I mean, it's honestly not a remarkable vehicle at all. Great for killing things like that. That little anti-aircraft there. But it lacks a turret, meaning if you get shot in the side, you are gone for. you're done. It's over. You've got obviously huge shells for this gun that line the sides, so it's quite likely that you're just going to get ammo racked in the first shot anyway. And then, as I said, it's kind of a few weak points at the front. You're also, of course, not got the shell selection that the KV-2 does, where it's got an APHE round with a much higher pen, enabling it to take out much more threatening targets from the front. It's certainly, aside from the fact it's never going to fight it, it's not going to be knocking out a tiger through the front or anything. And then you've also got this incredibly low velocity to your shells as well. It's honestly, as much as I wanted to love this tank, as much as I've played it more than I normally would for a derp vehicle like this, it's not great. It's not really something viable, and while I've had some good games in it, obviously like this one, I've also had some really bad ones in it as well. A lot of it comes down to luck. It's not flexible. It's not something that, you know, if the enemy doesn't turn up or they turn up just off in the wrong direction, you can't just, you know, quickly adjust and deal with it. And if you get more than one opponent near you, then you're really going to be struggling, so you've got to play a bit reserved for it, and given your low velocity, that's not great. Because you need to be getting in close so that you reduce the chance of missing, especially when you have to, on some vehicles, hit the weak points. Such as this one. That is really satisfying. But yeah, if you're trying to, you know, aim for specific parts of tanks, a shell with this velocity is not what you really want. So you have to go and, you know, shove your face right up in theirs, but then that's just making it much easier to hit your weak spots as well. So overall, I don't really know what to think of the Grouch. It's it can be remarkably fun, remarkably satisfying, but if you're, you know, looking to win a game, then there's going to be much better choices. Don't ask why I dared to even think of aiming at that plane. The gun wouldn't traverse around fast enough anyway, and the likelihood of me getting the, you know, the velocity right, the distance to actually hit a plane in midair, it's not gonna happen. Now, obviously, as this game has gone on, as this video has gone on, I've been talking a little less about my decisions and why I'm doing certain things, what I'm thinking during the battle, and part of that is just due to the way the vehicle plays. It's not so often that you're going to have these tactical decisions to make, because you hopefully aren't going to be engaging more than one target at a time. You're not going to be engaging them at a distance where you've got some real quick thinking to do, because the vehicle just doesn't like those situations. That's not to say they will never happen, of course. There are going to be times where you meet multiple opponents, or you've got to do a bit of angling, try and deflect a shot from someone, so that you can safely swivel this massive cannon into a position to actually get that kill. There's not really going to be too much else to it. Now, this final target here, see, I used a rangefinder because I could tell he was at a reasonable distance. It said 500 meters. Now, the first shot is on me. I thought, you know, he's moved a bit closer, I'll aim a bit shorter. But rangefindered it again, and it says 450, so we aim up for 450. And it misses again. And that's simply because all rangefinders have got some degree of inaccuracy in them. But when you've got a gun with this low velocity, 10, 20 meters can be the difference in a hit or miss. Fortunately though, both he missed and I've got some armor that can resist him, so I get time for a third shot. And there we go. Kill number 9 and the final one of the game. So that's the end of the video here. thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.